Do you know that when you overestimate yourself, you're always giving yourself the highest possible chance of success? Let me tell you why most people are simply not designed to become a billionaires. The main idea over here is that people are not adventurers. They don't want to become explorers. They don't want to go out and discover a brand new business, try to look for market for this business. What they're waiting for is instead having a validation of particular business, such as dropshipping, e-commerce, Amazon store, something that everyone else already has done, or at least promote that they try it and it's working more or less. And then everyone piles in and the business becomes so saturated and no one makes any money. And this is probably the reason why Charlie Munger, when he was alive, he was kind of praising, kind of mocking Elon Musk. Never underestimate a person who overestimates himself. Right? This was his main categorization for Elon Musk. But he was afraid to bet against Tesla. He said, I don't want to own it and I don't want to bet against it. Because he knew that when Elon Musk actually started Tesla and started each of the ventures that sounded pretty crazy, even in Silicon Valley, people thought that the guy is crazy, right? These things cannot be done. The main point was that he overestimated himself every single time. And I just here run the numbers, statistics of one of the most successful people in different domains of life. And I ask for brief summary and comparison between those people. Most of the people who you know today, they overestimate themselves, okay? They simply said they're the best, they have a super skills, they have a super power, they compete in different tournaments as a professional athletes, they compete in different businesses, they compete in different careers and walks of life, and they succeeded. Even though all the odds were stacked against them, most of the people didn't even have a college degree, but they still found careers in area where the college degree usually is a requirement. What this actually means? Being able to utilize self-delusion. You think that you're the best. You think that you know something that other people don't. You know that you can actually persevere failure after failure. Something that a lot of people do not understand. It's a secret of big success, because one of the studies portray an image and results where the people who are taking the biggest risks early on in life were people without sufficient preparation or knowledge. What this means, they didn't know what they're risking. You don't really know what are you risking, and this is why people used to make poor decisions. This is why overestimating yourself only works for people who are really ready to put up the work. You may not have the experience, you may not have the odds stacked in your favor, but you're still able to put up as many efforts, as many tries, as many hours into it over and over again. You are eventually going to win. Because when you try enough times, you're increasing your chances and odds for your success. You probably heard the overnight success people claiming for other people because they didn't spend the hours of work, hours of failure, hours of tries until they actually achieved and matched the results that are publicly announced. This is why self-delusion. Sitting here, let's say today you want to build some mobile app. You have no coding experience, you have no knowledge, you just watch a couple of tutorials and you learn how to build a mobile app using AI. This is a big achievement. But a lot of people, regardless of how easy you can make building the app process for them, they're not going to take the step because they know they're not coders, they're not engineers, they're not technicians, they're not tech savvy. It's also pretty boring for them. And as a matter of fact, they don't really have anyone who is an engineer. So that's pretty far away from their regular circle of interest. But this is why you have to be self-delusional. You know what? I am going to build a app in my area of interest, which could be whatever, sports, hobbies, and I'm going to build the app like a professional engineer. I'm going to watch tutorials, I'm going to take notes, I'm going to backtest. Even if there is something I cannot do by myself, I'm going to hire somebody to fix this part and I'm going to make the app work perfect. I want to make sure that the app will be better than any other app in the same industry built by engineer. Okay? On the surface, this looks like delusional. how are you gonna find time to do it? It will take you a lot of time, first of all, just to watch the tutorials, then to take notes, then to install the softwares, then to learn the actual schemas, how to connect different platforms, how to actually compute backtest, right? You have to create different accounts. It's a system. It's like learning a completely new language. Most people will say no. They will say no for them, and they will say no for you. You're not going to be able to do it. You're delusional. You think you can do it because it sounds fun, it sounds cute. Every new business idea sounds fun until you actually start working on the business idea. And you start failing, and you start getting errors, and you start losing money because testing, especially on the AI, it will require certain funds that you can propel your idea. You have to backtest either the payment functionality or the API keys or the view generation or the actual storage of the data, the authentication. Like, there's so many different elements that you want to make sure that are superior because you're self-delusional and you believe you're going to build a extremely professional app without being an engineer. You know what's funny? If you go online, if you right here on YouTube, and try to search for people who built a currently monetizing app, people who come from completely different niche, people who are finance, people who were in athletics, people who were in whatever, hotels, hospitality business, they built an app and they're currently monetizing it. Why? Because they were self-delusional. They believed that they can actually build and be equal, not equal. They believed they could be better than all the people who spent years working in Apple as an engineer, in Google as an engineer, in Microsoft as an engineer. But if you're not self-delusional, you don't really put yourself ahead of the game. If you almost didn't have the same take, like I can be the first online provider of connections from the satellite, provide satellite internet, provide satellite connection, right? And I can have one of the biggest, the widest coverage that anyone from any point around the world, regardless of how remote, low or high it is, we have access to internet, right? Send the satellites here, send the satellites there. We have to mention also that there is a drawbacks and there is a downside. And if you fail self-diluting yourself, you're falling from 50 feet, my friend. Because when you pump yourself so fucking high, you realize that you're putting yourself on probably the highest possible level and tier. And you're going head to head with the big boys, with the experienced people. And if you win, well, you're definitely gonna win big. Maybe it could be this one big bet that you won and you're set for life. But if you're wrong, if you really overestimate yourself, it's gonna be very painful. This is what Charlie Munger actually mentioned, that he didn't like the style of Elon Musk. He said, quote unquote, Mr. Musk may not always be wrong, which intended that most times people who are overestimating themselves are wrong. Why? Because you realize that when you say and you realize that you overestimate yourself, you think that you possess something that you're certain you don't, right? It's like you're going on the field track and you're gonna run and you're gonna compete with other people. You had no preparations, right? Everyone else is like athlete, they train for like 2, 3, 4 years, and look at them. And this is the moment of self-delusion. You can think that, I am natural born talent. I don't need to train, I don't need to prepare, I can even run with jeans and I'm gonna smoke these people. The self-delusion is a real key of unlocking different results, good or bad, but definitely different. Because I run the same structure of data between people who are realist, people who are pessimist, people who are optimists, and people who are who are over-delusional. So the people who are realists, they have cap results. They are realists, they said, okay, I can achieve up to here and that's it. Nothing above, it's my territory. The pessimists, they're going halfway through, they go even beneath, they always assume that they're going to be last or second to the last. They never achieve anything in life, they usually work, these are the people who are like, find one job after university and they work throughout their entire life in the same job because they think that no one else will hire them. That's why they never quit or leave. And of course, the optimists, like I said, they're doing a little bit better, but still mentally, they kind of put the limits on themselves, not on the achievements. They said, no, my IQ, it's at max. I cannot really even think about something more. That is my place. That's my spot. And the people who are over optimistic, over delusional about themselves, about their achievements, these are the people who are actually go beyond and above. And don't think that when they achieve something crazy, they're not surprised. They're surprised from themselves, but they're not showing it. You don't think Elon Musk was surprised when he actually succeeded in shipped Tesla? He was surprised. He was like, damn. You don't think that he was surprised when the actual Falcon, the first Falcon rocket was successfully launched and came back to the Port Canaveral? He was not shocked. He was shocked. He was, oh man, well, this actually worked. Crazy, right? By 2028, 60% of the people would have lost their jobs. Most of them will most likely live outside the big cities because it will be too expensive for them. Other portion of the world will essentially lose their homes because they will be fired, they will be laid off from their jobs, so they won't be able to pay off their mortgage. Some of the people will be very close to completely paying off their mortgage, but because of the AI revolution, they will not be able to do so. They will move to probably Midwest or Mideast areas of the country where the life is much cheaper, the area, the land, the taxes, the overall cost of living will have matched their overall wealth, which will be decreased substantially. A lot of the companies that are not applying or using AI will lose revenue, will fire even more employees, which will lead to even greater decline of the overall stock market performance. There is no surprise that Warren Buffett sits and Berkshire Hathaway sits in cash. Prior retiring, Warren Buffett said that in the next 10 to 20 years, the stock market will underperform. The great upward cycle that the markets never go down on the long term will simply fail, according to Warren Buffett. And there is no surprise that the big players are really preparing for this. There is no reason for you to not have at least a cautionary alert you, your friends, your closest relatives. Everyone should be ready for this, okay? By 2028, the world and the life and the jobs that you see today, or maybe last year, will no longer be there. Even today, you can go out and search for your previous colleagues that you work with on different jobs. Where are they now? This very moment, I guarantee you they're not working at the place you know that they used to work. I guarantee you they don't live in the place that they used to live. I guarantee you that they're not happier than before. This is why the path forward, unfortunately, has an only downward trajectory. Why? Because it is a mechanism, and mechanisms are predictable. You probably heard about plant economy, where everything is planned. This is not the way how the economies around the world work. When you have a particular plan which is activated based on particular innovation, cycle, population changes, economic cycles, political cycles, all these elements are changing the history. There was a gold standard at some point, then there was a dollar dominance at some point, then there was a technological revolution at some point. Now we're having the next step, which is AI. And I understand the benefits of it, but I also see how many people are already left behind, and we're not even midpoint evolution development at this particular I would say informational cycle. So 2 years from now, things will be completely different, and I'm not sure that they will be different in a good way. Like I said, many people will not be able to live where they live today. It will be too expensive. Many people will not be able to afford their homes. Not not to mention inflation will be crazy high in 2 years, in 5 years, in 7 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. Like I mentioned, in 2030, $2 million will be equivalent to $750,000. This is how much depreciation or simplified buying power will change dramatically. This is why people with 401ks, this is why people with retirement funds, people who rely on the markets to do its thing, the market goes up on the long run, might actually be negatively surprised. And again, we don't have to speculate. I don't sell books on prepare for the end of the world to pitch you on the idea that something bad is about to happen and me trying to elevate the fear and fear mongering. I don't do that, right? I'm just observing, analyzing, speak to a lot of people. Speak to people who are doing very well right now, benefiting from the AI, speaking with people who have a very big hardship, people who had very nice life 2-3 years ago. And majority of the people are effectively pretty concerned, not only about themselves, they're concerned about the future, their families, the future of the cities they live, the future of the neighborhoods they live. Right? It's kind of interconnected, and the overall sentiment, it's strongly negative. Then you need to ask yourself, okay, so how the hell we can actually deal with this? How the hell we can actually, prepare for something like this? You can't. People who work in the technology industry during the dot-com bubble between 1990s and 2000, you were there. Imagine you are there. You understand what's going on. You're part of the problem. You see the problem because you're smart enough to understand that there is no particular value added when you just add .com to your company. And they still failed, and they still lost everything. The billionaires think differently. There is a good person who is a billionaire or who is going to become a billionaire, and there is a bad person. The good person is the one who thinks in the future what big issues he can actually solve and start building business around them. Infrastructure, something, let's say agriculture, because the population will grow 15% year over year, 18 to 20% it will be on decade, example, etc. So it will be, let's say, lack of fresh water, it will be lack of food. It's going to focus on agriculture. It's going to find some way to grow fruits and vegetables elsewhere, right? The bad billionaires are people who are thinking about what issues are not yet on the surface on Earth. They create these issues, they create these problems, and then they show up with the solutions, and they sell the solutions to the general public. This is why the average person simply cannot become a billionaire. Even people who are winning $1 billion Mega Million jackpot, they don't end up being billionaires. They have to chip in to the government, to the IRS, around $400 million. And even people who do not have a financial literacy or background, they understand that they should take the full amount lump sum. Why? Because the inflation will simply destroy these remaining millions of dollars if they choose to get the plan for 10, 15 or 20 years payback. So let's go back. Normal people do not go out and try something new. Why? Two main reasons for it. Number one is that they have to be very smart. You have to really have, first of all, vision, and you have to have skills to follow the vision. Even if you're smart, and even if you have a vision, and even if you have a great partners to build the actual tool or product, you have a problem number two, which is you don't have the market yet. This is called product market fit. No one is begging you, build this product, build this service, we're gonna buy from you. No. This is why it is very, very hard. Not only have to be very, very smart, you have to be fast, you have to have a vision, which means you have to innovate something, you have to come up with something that is not yet there, and then after all work is done, research and development, testing, certification, licenses sometimes they require. different government approvals. Then you go on step number 2, which is cool. Now we have to be a marketing genius, and we have to identify our core potential clients, and then we have to identify the right pricing, and then we have to figure out the logistics. And because we're talking about brand new niche, brand new product, something that hasn't been done before, you have to expect malfunctions, you have to expect errors, you have to expect problems that will simply come up, and you have to be able to solve them. This is the biggest differentiation between the normal people who want to start a business, make some money, live a normal, good, I would say average life, versus the people who want to be somewhat rich, versus the people who want to be very, very wealthy, and versus the people who want to become a billionaires, like I mentioned. This is why this gap between the first group of people who want to have a good life, but they don't want to be crazy rich, to the last group, which completely change and flip the script. They remain in history because they change the current history. You understand that the lifestyle of both groups is completely different. The sacrifices that they should do, each on their own, is completely different. The risks associated with their achievements is completely different. And of course, when you take a sizable risk, if you're right, the reward will be sizable as well. Not always proportional, but ballpark. This is why I want you to think about it, right? And we just focus on the good billionaires, right? I don't want to go back to the bad billionaires, people who actually create problems, people who actually create issues. Could be geopolitical issues, could be financial issues, could be systematic educational issues, could be something that is inherently important for the functioning of the world, if you really think about it, right? This is why a lot of people speculate. You will see a lot of conspiracy theories. You will see a lot of opinions about why something is happening or it isn't happening. But you need to understand that if you wanna get rewarded in substantial amount of wealth, you need to come up with something, and you have to push something else of the current system or environment, right? You have to fill a brand new gap if there is no gap. Electric vehicles pushing away the current gasoline vehicles. AI is pushing away everything that was done manually, right? Every new system cannot coexist usually with the previous systems. If we're talking about infrastructure level, we're not talking about surface level, very niche down specifics. Because probably a lot of businesses that we don't know have been using AI for whatever machinery or some, let's say, some mechanical work, some robots. But this was not constructual, this was not fundamental level of technology infrastructure or lifestyle infrastructure. But now it has come to this level, right? It started from the ground, very niche down, use case, all the way up to general purpose use. That's why a lot of people now are using it, and they feel that there is a major difference in how they work, how they spend their free time, how they utilize even internet overall. And this is the major shift. If you think that you cannot come up with something like this, or it's too much of a hassle, you probably will be better off focusing on group number 1 or group number 2. Group 3 and 4, a completely different animal.